Hi, this is Ed Harrison. I'm a designer and illustrator and co-founder of Under the Skin. And I'm currently in a van because I've been given the opportunity to do a virtual presentation with conservation optimism and Wildscreen. But obviously it happened to coincide with me travelling in the Scottish Highlands. So this is take 2 after the camera just fell over in the wind. As I said, I'm a designer and illustrator, and I work primarily in the realms of wildlife and conservation. That is the focus of my work. And there's an incredible quote by Elizabeth Colbert that I use as a guiding philosophy for everything that I do, and that is, guilt and fear are less effective calls to arms than a love and wonder of the natural world. My ultimate aim when illustrating a subject is to capture the essence of a species in as few shapes as possible. Stripping it back to the bare minimum is the more difficult part for me, to make the species recognizable and yet minimal and playful. I mentioned in the intro that I'm co-founder of Under the Skin, which is a creative entity that I started with my brother James Harrison, who is a designer and printmaker, and our creative skill sets complement one another perfectly because my illustration style lends itself really beautifully to his printmaking practice of screen printing. We started this project back in 2015 to raise awareness of the 6th mass extinction of species that is happening across the globe. So 20% of proceeds from all of our artwork goes to a species-specific charity that is working on the front lines protecting each animal. We wanted to drive this project forwards with optimism, and so I think there's something inherent in humans about the idea of collecting things. This collection of artwork really harks back to our childhood, where we would collect fossils, we'd collect feathers, we'd collect insects, and we'd collect football stickers. So we wanted to create a series of screen prints that almost felt collectible. The unique thing about our Under the Skin prints is that James finishes the final layer of the artwork with a phosphorescent UV skeleton. If you think of a museum visitor wandering the corridors of the Natural History Museum, they might come across a skeleton of the dodo, for example. We wanted to communicate this message that there is a chance that if things continue this way for these species, all that we'll have left is their skeletons behind glass cabinets in a museum. The primary role of this project is to celebrate nature, celebrate biodiversity, whilst communicating the fact that all of these species are in danger of becoming extinct. Under the Skin started for us as a creative outlet where we could harness our creative skills to communicate a message. But as Under the Skin develops, we're evolving this project into public engagement workshops. We're getting people of all ages, from all walks of life, to engage in the printmaking process, where they can not only screen print artwork that is celebrating nature, but they're also going out to charity shops and sourcing second-hand clothes and learning the importance of upcycling, which is obviously going against the fast fashion industry of today that is destroying so many habitats around the world through that industry. Now, today's talk is about the role of optimism in my work. Wildscreen contacted me with the dream job of creating a brand and a visual style for this year's festival. The brief was to illustrate a series of conservation heroes and the animals that each of them are working to protect. Just as I've said, the challenge for me was to try and illustrate each of these figures in as few shapes as possible, trying to celebrate what these conservationists are doing on the front line, day in, day out, through their work to protect these incredible species. It was an absolute joy to bring them to life through my illustrations for Wildscreen this year. I feel that creatives have a critical role to play in today's environmental crisis. What we can do comes down to storytelling and narratives. We all have the power to connect to an audience on a deeper level. The scientists and the conservationists out there are doing the work, conserving the species. We can use our skills to take this amazing research and we can translate and create these narratives that will connect to audiences through all sorts of different mediums, whether it's art, whether it's through illustration, whether it's through filmmaking. And so I feel the collaboration between scientists, conservationists and artists and filmmakers is more important than ever. So I'd like to finish this talk with an amazing quote by a French aviator. "If you wish to build a ship, do not divide the people into teams and send them to the forest to cut wood. Instead, teach them to long for the vast and endless sea." Now, I feel that is such an amazing outlook that we as storytellers and creators should have in getting people to care about the natural world and in moving forwards as a species to protect this planet. So that camera has got soaked in the Scottish rain and the wind has almost blown over the tripod, so I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you all so much for joining me, and thank you to Wildscreen and Conservation Optimism for giving me this opportunity to talk to you today. I hope you all enjoyed the rest of the film festival.